Good morning. I'd like to talk to you for a few minutes about doing some preparation. I've had a few people contact me and said, Norm, what are some of the practical things we can do in getting ready for these very strange days that are starting to show up? I mean, things are changing at such a rapid pace on every platform you can think of around the world that it's almost ahead of us now. But people have asked quite rightly so, are there things that we can do on a practical level that helps us kind of prepare for some of the stranger things, some of the unexpected things that are going to come our way? So I'm just going to take a few minutes and give you some very practical things you may want to think about doing. First of all, I'm speaking mostly to believers. And so, again, we can't fully prepare for everything because we're just not sure the impact and to the extent the grip will be. Will it be something we can work around, or will it be at some point we will have to submit to all the powers that be that will control pretty much everything that we are involved in terms of banking, in terms of what we can buy or sell, and the economy. Are we still going to have fiat currency where we deal with paper and coins, and or will we be dealing with? I mean, the central banks now are talking about a digital currency. So will we be switching over to that? And in that particular scenario, we certainly lose a lot of freedoms, but you'll lose more privacy than you will freedoms, I think, at that case. Let's talk about just briefly some practical preparations you can do. First of all, I've encouraged you in previous videos. Do put some food away. Do plan on having a supply of water for a number of days or maybe a couple weeks. So I get the 4 liter bottles and we put a few away just so the water is there. Again, I don't expect the water supply to be turned off or stopped in our home or in our town here in Paris, Ontario. But get some water. I would also get some food items, things that will keep over time, and create a small storage area in a cool, dark place that food can be kept for a long period of time, just as a backup should supply chains get so bad that for some reason there's an interruption in being able to buy groceries at some point. But again, you'll never be able to store enough that will keep you indefinitely for like a year or 2 years or 3 years. I mean, it just isn't practical. So again, this is sort of a short time, short gap kind of solution to uh, problems that will come up. I would also suggest to you that you have a small or a certain amount of money kept in hiding at home in a designated place that you and your spouse know about, but nobody else. And I would suggest to you, just as a practical kind of target, to have maybe 1 month or 2 months' expenses in actual cash, as long as it's still being used, have cash put away for any bank interruptions that may happen. And they have already happened. It was quite amazing to me that just a few weeks ago, the 5 large Canadian banks all shut down at the same time and they were offline for, I think, 5 hours. And I mean, that included, there was no online banking. And so it is true that there may be interruptions coming in the banking system where if for some reason you're caught short and the banks are closed and you still need access to money, I think you need to have an emergency fund at home. And I think it needs to be, if you can get there, get at least maybe 1 or 2 months um, total expenses put away for that very occasion. The other thing I would suggest you do too is if you have the time right now and if you have the resources to do it, try to eliminate any high interest rate um, liabilities you have, like credit cards. If you can get them down, that would be good. If your mortgage is locked in, if you have a mortgage or a line of credit and you can lock it in and have locked it in already on a more medium to long term basis where the interest rate is guaranteed and they can't play with the interest rate on you, then that's a smart move. People that are exposed to debt where the interest rates are variable, like credit cards, as interest rates are going to go up, and they are going to go up, they are going to put an increased pressure on people just to be able to pay the interest, let alone the principal. If you can get that down now before things get any higher, then that's a practical thing to do. Um, Maybe take some money out of this or that account or whatever, but try to get your credit cards down to almost nothing. And that's just a wise move. And then any other debts that you have, try to set them up in a fixed rate, because certainly rates aren't coming down now for a while. So wherever whatever they're at right now is probably the lowest they're going to be for a little while, and they're only going to get higher. The other thing I would suggest too is just watch your expenses. Be a little more prudent about decisions you make. Maybe don't be, we all have plans to expand this or do this or renovate this or but maybe just look at every subject and every little project that you had in mind and say, is it something I really need to do right now? Or is it wiser that I just sort of hang on to my funds and maybe not be so eager to, renovate the kitchen necessarily. If the kitchen's functioning fine, maybe we just hang on for a little bit to see where things are going. The other thing and I'll finish with this. The other thing I think you should do is um, having a church family that you can go to and fellowship with and worship with is a fantastic and very important idea. But beyond that, I think you should really seek out 4, 5, 6 friends. Maybe if you're a couple, a husband and wife, find 2 or 3 other couples. If you're a single individual, doesn't matter. Find 5 or 6 other friends, and create a group that is very much dependent on each other, very much trusting of each other, very much open and honest with each other. Meet regularly for fellowship, and then in that fellowship, besides just great conversation and food and that bonding element, of course, have times of prayer and reading the word and discussing the day's events and what's going on. Have a small group like that and become as tight as you possibly can, because you're going to need each other. Part of the enemy's strategy is to isolate people, and even believers who end up becoming very isolated. It's a very unnerving, scary kind of thing. And so I'm going to suggest as one of your preparation things is to form a group, get a group, and say, listen, we all agree we're coming into some strange days. Let's just form this connection, make this bond, and let's become tightly involved in each other's lives so that we've got someone others to lean on when things get tough. And when I mean things are going to get tough, it's quite possible that people are going to lose their residence. People are going to need a place to stay. People are going to need help with food. I mean, there's all kinds of things we're going to need each other for. So I would say get that group. Get that group of people you like. You all like each other. There's a connection. There's something in common, maybe your faith in Christ, and become that group. Become as tight as possible. And you're harder to break when you're connected with others that tightly. So God bless you. I hope some of those tips help. Put away some emergency funds. Have some food and water put away. Kind of curtail any crazy expenses that you were thinking of. Not crazy, wrong word. Just things that aren't necessary right now. If you're not in a position to actually do the renovation or that cash wise, I'm not sure borrowing is the way to go, only because I think interest rates have not yet hit the top. And I think you'll find that a little bit bit of a stress when you start watching interest rates go up, and you maybe borrowed money you shouldn't have borrowed. And I would say get all your variable interest rate uh, liabilities like credit cards and such, get them down and down as low as possible, if not totally paid off, because they will hurt you as rates tend to go higher and higher and higher. So God bless you. I hope these few practical terms just helps you prepare a little bit better for what's coming. And fear not, if you're a follower of Jesus Christ, it all works out. But there's some hard days coming, and enough of you have been asking, or what about some practical preparation we could do? And this is what I hope this little video did for you. Just give you a few tips on how to kind of get a better grip on this so that we're not taken totally by surprise. God bless you. Bye bye.